I feel like it was just yesterday that we were here. It's so nice to see familiar faces and old friends. I feel like I'm the one that changed the most. Travel takes its top, thanks. So, how long was it that we were together?
It was in 2009, May 2009.
3 years.
3 years ago.
3 years. Wow, time flies.
You should come often.
I know. Leanne, did you hear that? You should invite me a little bit more often, please. Well, it's just a pleasure to be back, and well, there is such a lovely, warm feeling when you come to Rotterdam. This is my second time only, and always with Leanne Tio, but there is always a very warm welcome. Seems a very friendly town. A lot of building happening.
Yes.
So it's an exciting place to be at the moment. We just finished our Shard in London. Did you see that? I'm surprised you can't see it from Rotterdam, actually, because you can see it from everywhere. Anyway, it's a delight to be here. I think it is a long time, but as I was just talking with Hans from... I was trying to say it with the accent. Sorry. How do you say it?
L'officiel.
L'officiel. Thank you. That it was never the design or the vision of my father, Clive, to create a perfume house that would continue to release more and more and more and more and more things. When he released the Perfume collection in 1999, it was released as the definitive collection. And we also clarified with official approval that that is the same in Dutch. Definitive. That's it. That's your lot. 6 perfumes, 3 pairs. And I know that you are familiar with some of them, and you will all have smelt them as the 13 years have gone by since the launch, or thereabouts. And they were designed to stand the test of time, to be timeless. And I'm thankful to say exactly what has happened. However, after 10 years, one question rang out above all, and that was, I love 1872. Are there any more? I adore number 1. My husband hates that I buy it. I've got it in every house that I own. Are there any more? And are there any more was the resounding question that my ears heard, that my father continually received. And I think even for someone with as clear a vision, stubborn vision, as my father, Clive, even he can be chipped away at and broken in the end. So in 2010, he released one more. And that perfume was C, from the private collection. But it took him 2 years. Did you all smell C? It's on you. Yeah, actually, it's on me as well. I always like spritz here. It brings out my inner Leo. And the private collection for my father was more nerve-wracking than his release of what became the most expensive perfume in the world, number 1. And do you think that makes sense? I mean, in 1999, with the release of the definitive collection, with number 1, the world's most expensive perfume at the crown, in the jewel in the crown, there was nothing to compare it to, because the market was 180 degrees in the opposite direction. It was mostly about perfume being for the lady, that you would choose for the lady at a special occasion, or for Christmas, or birthday, something like that. And men would have, excuse me gentlemen, present company excluded, men would have whatever the lady bought for them. Oh, my sister bought it for me, my mother bought it, Father Christmas put it in my sack. And it was eau de cologne or aftershave, it didn't really matter. And times really have changed, but in 1999, when Clive launched his definitive collection, and #1, the world's most expensive perfume, was stamped by Guinness World Records, for him, that had to be. That had to be. Because that perfume collection was based on history. That was based on heritage. And that's not something you can invent. I think, well, I know some will have seen this before, but I think it's worthwhile having a little dust off of the cobwebs. 3 years is a long time. That this little bottle really is 3 inches of visual history from the very foundations of the perfumery that Clive Christian guards today. And the crown that sits on the top is such an important part of that heritage. That was the unique gift from Queen Victoria. And she was the first monarch in Great Britain to celebrate her 60 years on the throne. She left quite a legacy. And she didn't do it alone. She did it in a partnership with her husband, her Prince Consort, Prince Albert. And of course, back in those days, if we put our heads in a different space, it was corsets and crinolines and very trussed up. And we were sitting down on the settee there before, and sitting how the lady would be just perched on the end. And you didn't, if there were men present in the room, you didn't eat more than a morsel of chocolate, something sweet, because that was thought that all ladies would eat was sweet. Of course, you had your fan, which was impregnated with perfume so that you could keep your area clean. Yeah. And the gentleman would be perched on the end of his seat, because he too was trussed up, with his sword ready and his cravat high up to his neck, ready to protect the lady's honour. It was a totally different world. There was no touching. But Victoria and Albert, their relationship goes through history as one of the most enduring love stories. They were married young, and they had 9 children. And the reality is, when Albert passed away young, Victoria had his clothes laid out every morning and his watch, his pocket watch, wound. He was still very much a part of her life. And as a symbol of their love for each other, the Victorian language of flowers became a reality. So that as they were living their separate, very Victorian, restricted lives in public, underneath, in their corsets and bodices, their floral notes and their spices from the British Empire were slowly unravelling and combining and joining forces, connecting them together. And I know, because you're here and you are friends of Leanne's, and we are all sharing one thing in common, is that our souls understand that power of emotion that connects Mother Nature. So you know it's much easier to fall in love with a perfume than it is in finding your soulmate in real life. Sadly. So true. That's the next business. Then I definitely come to Rotterdam more often. But you know, it's instant. It's in a physical impossibility to fool yourself. It flicks a switch and you just know. But when you fall in love with the notes, it has to deliver what you're looking for. When you fall in love, you want it to last. And that is a cornerstone of a Victorian perfume. It was built to last. It had to last. Because there was no dry cleaning. And no air conditioning. So your perfume was concentrated to what they call an absolute level. It's a triple concentrate, which means if you had jasmine or lavender or rose in the absolute. That's why this little bottle is a crucial piece of history. You would take Victoria's crown off, and you could leave the bottle sat in the room